A little girl is born into a poor and helpless family. One day, without warning, her kingdom is brutally attacked. Her parents are murdered with unimaginable cruelty before her eyes. Terrified and broken, the little girl manages to escape and runs for her life. Years later, that same child rises from the ashes to become the greatest Valkyrie the world has ever known. This is where her story begins. Lisa was born on a winter morning when the sky over Eldoria was pale and quiet, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Her home was a small mud and wood house at the far edge of the kingdom, where the land grew dry and forgotten. The roof leaked during rain, the walls cracked in summer heat, yet inside that fragile home lived something rare: love. Her father, Aaron Vale, was a poor woodcutter. Every day before sunrise, he walked miles into the forest, cutting timber with worn tools, his hands rough, his back bent. But when he returned home, his tired face always softened when he saw his daughter. Her mother, Mira Vale, stitched clothes for wealthier families in the town. Her fingers were often bleeding, but her voice was gentle. At night, she sang lullabies passed down through generations, songs about brave women who flew into battle and never bowed to fear. From the day Lisa learned to walk, she learned hardship. From the day she learned to speak, she learned kindness. They had little food, no protection, and no power. But they had each other. And for 7 short years, that was enough. The night Eldoria fell began with silence. No birds. No dogs barking. No wind. Aaron felt it before he saw it. A strange weight in the air. He stepped outside their home and looked toward the hills. That was when the sky turned red. Flames rose from the far villages. Black smoke twisted upward like claws. Then came the sound, metal crashing against metal, men shouting, horses screaming. Mira ran outside, clutching Lisa to her chest. "Aaron, what is happening?" Aaron's face turned pale. "Go inside. Lock the door." But before they could move, the ground shook beneath galloping hooves. The Iron Legion had arrived. They were mercenaries, hardened soldiers, and hired killers. Some were former army men, others were bandits promised gold and land. They wore dark armor and carried torches, swords, and spears. They did not come to rule. They came to destroy. The door of the small house was smashed open with a violent kick. 3 soldiers stormed inside. Lisa froze. Aaron stepped forward instinctively, raising his wood-cutting axe, not as a weapon, but as a shield. One soldier laughed. Another struck Aaron across the face with the flat of his sword. He fell to his knees. Mira screamed and tried to reach him. A soldier grabbed her by the hair and dragged her back. Lisa was pushed into a corner, hidden behind a broken table. Her small hands covered her mouth, her body shaking so hard she thought it would give her away. Aaron tried to stand again. That was when they beat him. They struck him again and again, boots and steel, until his body no longer moved. Not because he was weak, but because he had nothing left to give. Mira cried out his name and struggled. A soldier shoved her to the ground beside him. She reached for Aaron's hand. They killed her too. Cold. Fast. Without mercy. Not because she fought, but because fear spreads faster when mothers die. Lisa watched it all. Her world shattered in silence. Then they poured oil across the floor. One of them leaned close to the hiding child and smiled. "Let the fire finish the rest." They threw a torch inside. Smoke filled the room instantly. The fire climbed the walls, devouring everything. Lisa couldn't scream. Her body wouldn't move. Then, through the roar of flames, she heard her mother's voice, faint, broken, but alive in memory. "Run, Lisa." Her legs moved before her mind did. She crawled through smoke, her skin burning, her eyes stinging. She slipped through a hole in the back wall where the wood had already collapsed. Outside, the world was chaos. Homes burned. People ran. Soldiers chased them down. Lisa ran barefoot across burning earth. Stones cut her feet. Sparks landed on her hair. An arrow struck the ground beside her. She heard laughter behind her. She ran faster. She dove into the forest just as horses charged past. Branches tore at her skin. Thorns ripped her clothes. She didn't stop. She ran until her lungs screamed. She ran until her legs failed. She ran until she collapsed beneath a tree, sobbing silently as the firelight faded behind her. By dawn, Eldoria was ash. And Lisa was alone. The forest became her prison and her shield. She survived by instinct. She drank from streams. She ate berries she didn't recognize. She hid whenever she heard footsteps. At night, she cried into her hands so no one could hear. She dreamed of fire. She dreamed of her parents calling her name. Her feet bled. Her body weakened. One night, rain poured endlessly. Lisa curled beneath a fallen tree, shaking with cold and fever. Her eyes closed. She thought she was dying. When Lisa opened her eyes again, warmth surrounded her. Firelight. Fur blankets. The smell of cooked meat. She tried to sit up but collapsed back. Women stood around her, tall, strong, wearing armor marked with strange symbols. Their weapons were clean, their eyes sharp. One stepped forward. She was older, her hair silver, her presence commanding. Her name was Astrid. She knelt beside Lisa and looked into her eyes for a long time. "You should be dead," Astrid said quietly. "But you're not." Lisa said nothing. Astrid stood and spoke to the others. "She stays." And just like that, Lisa's second life began. The Valkyries lived in the mountains beyond the forest. They were warriors sworn to protect the weak and punish those who destroyed without cause. They did not raise children, but they did not abandon survivors. Lisa was given food, clean clothes, and a place by the fire. For the first time since the attack, she slept without fear. But even in rest, her hands clenched into fists. Astrid watched her closely and whispered to herself. Fire took her childhood, but it left her strength. That night, under a sky full of stars, a broken child slept among warriors. She did not know it yet, but the path ahead would lead her back through blood, battle, and destiny. And one day, the world would learn her name. Lisa did not cry when she woke among the Valkyries. She had already cried enough for a lifetime. The mountain stronghold of the Valkyries was carved into stone itself, cold, harsh, unforgiving. Wind screamed through narrow paths. Snow clung to the rocks even in summer. This was not a place for children. But it was a place for survivors. At first, Lisa was weak. Her body was small, scarred by hunger and fear. She struggled to lift buckets of water, stumbled during basic drills, and collapsed often. The Valkyries did not mock her, but they did not pity her either. Pity made people soft. Astrid watched silently as Lisa failed again and again. Every fall was followed by another attempt. Lisa never complained. At night, she sat alone by the fire, staring into the flames, not afraid of them, but familiar with their hunger. Astrid approached her one evening. "Why do you stay?" Astrid asked. "You could leave. Find another village. Another life." Lisa didn't look up. "There is nothing else," she said. "Only forward." Astrid nodded. That night, the Valkyries decided. Lisa would not be protected. She would be trained. The years of fire. Training began before dawn. Lisa learned pain before skill. She trained with wooden swords until her hands bled. When she dropped the blade, she was told to pick it up. When she cried, she trained harder the next day so no one would see it again. She learned to fight in silence. She learned to fall without screaming. She learned to stand even when her legs shook. Cold nights hardened her bones. Hunger sharpened her mind. She learned discipline. And slowly strength. Other Valkyries tested her. Some doubted her. Some admired her. But all respected her endurance. Years passed. Lisa grew taller. Stronger. Faster. Her eyes changed. The fear faded. In its place grew something darker, purpose. And no matter how strong she became, the dreams never stopped. Fire. Screams. Her mother reaching for her. Her father falling. She woke often with her heart racing, fingers clenched like claws. Astrid noticed. One night, she sat beside Lisa and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Pain doesn't leave," Astrid said. "You carry it. Or it carries you." Lisa swallowed hard. "I want to make them pay." Astrid met her gaze. Revenge alone will destroy you, she said. But justice. Justice can build something greater. Lisa didn't answer. But she listened. At 16, Lisa earned the right every Valkyrie waited for. Her own weapon. The forging ceremony took place at dawn. Lisa stood barefoot on stone as molten iron poured into the mold. Sparks flew. Heat filled the air. Astrid placed the finished blade into her hands. Black steel. Simple. Deadly. This blade was born from fire, Astrid said. So were you. Lisa named it ash color. From that day forward, she was no longer a child. She was a warrior. The Valkyries sent scouts far and wide. One winter evening, a wounded Valkyrie arrived, bleeding, exhausted. She spoke of destruction. Villages burned. People enslaved. Children slaughtered. The name was whispered with fear. The Iron Legion. Lisa felt the room spin. The same mercenaries. Still alive. Still destroying. Astrid watched Lisa carefully. Later that night, Lisa approached her. They're still out there, Lisa said quietly. Everything they touched is ruined. Astrid nodded. Evil rarely dies on its own. Lisa knelt. Let me go, she said. Not for revenge alone, but to stop them. Astrid rested a hand on her head. Then go, she said. But remember, Valkyries do not fight for hatred. They fight for those who cannot. Lisa rose. Her path was clear. Lisa descended from the mountains alone. She traveled through broken lands. She helped villages rebuild walls. She trained farmers to defend themselves. She saved prisoners from slave caravans. Word spread. A woman in black armor. A blade that struck like lightning. A warrior who asked for nothing. People followed her. Former soldiers. Hunters. Those who had lost everything. Lisa never called herself a leader. But leaders are chosen by those who follow. The name. One night, after saving a village from Iron Legion raiders, a child looked at her and whispered, "Are you an angel?" Lisa shook her head. No. An old man spoke instead. She is something else, he said. A Valkyrie, born of ashes. The name spread. The Valkyrie of Ashes. Lisa didn't stop it. She didn't deny it. She carried it. Years had passed since Eldoria burned. Lisa was no longer the frightened child running through fire. She was a force. And the Iron Legion had noticed. Their scouts vanished. Their supply lines failed. Fear spread among their ranks. A reckoning was coming. Lisa stood on a hill overlooking the lands that once belonged to her parents. She whispered into the wind, "I'm coming home." The world no longer whispered her name. It feared it. Wherever the Iron Legion marched, villages emptied before their arrival. Supplies vanished. Scouts never returned. Camps burned in the night without warning. The Iron Legion had faced armies before. They had never faced a symbol. And that symbol was Lisa. Lisa did not declare herself queen. She did not promise riches. She promised only one thing. Stand with me, and no child will ever run from fire again. That was enough. Village by village, people gathered. Farmers laid down plows and picked up spears. Hunters brought bows. Former soldiers trained the young. Women stood beside men unafraid. This was not an army of conquest. It was an army of survivors. Lisa trained them herself. She taught discipline, formation, patience. She taught them how mercenaries fought and how mercenaries broke. Her force grew into something the Iron Legion could no longer ignore. The Iron Legion's commander, Lord Kael'draven, finally marched to meet her. He was the same man who had ordered Eldoria burned. The same man who believed fear was the strongest weapon. His army was large, armored, brutal, but it was arrogant. They expected a rebellion. They found a storm. The War of Ashes. The war did not begin with a clash. It began with silence. Lisa cut off their supply routes. She poisoned no water, but destroyed bridges. She attacked only at night. Small victories piled into terror. When battle finally came, it came on the plains of Eldoria's ruins. The same ground where Lisa's parents had died. Smoke rose again, but this time, it was planned. The fighting was fierce. Steel met steel. Arrows darkened the sky. The ground shook beneath marching feet. Lisa moved through the battlefield like fire given form. She fought not with rage, but with purpose. Every strike had meaning. Every step was controlled. Her people followed her unbroken. Slowly, the Iron Legion began to fall apart. Mercenaries fight for gold. They do not die for it. The final confrontation. At the heart of the battlefield, Lisa stood face to face with Kale Draven. He recognized her eyes. "You," he said slowly. "You were there." Lisa nodded. "You killed my parents." Kale smirked. "I killed thousands." Lisa raised ash color. "And today, justice remembers you." Their duel was swift and brutal. Kale was strong. Lisa was unyielding. Steel clashed. Then silence. Kale felt his knees. Lisa did not scream. She did not curse. She delivered justice. The Iron Legion broke and ran. Eldoria was free. The land was reclaimed not by a crown, but by the people who bled for it. They offered Lisa the throne. She refused. "I was never meant to rule," she said. "Only to protect." Instead, Eldoria became something new. A free realm. A united land. Lisa stood as its guardian, its Valkyrie. Lisa rebuilt her parents' home first. She buried them beneath a stone carved with her own hands. The words read, "They died so others could live unafraid." She stood there long after everyone else left. The fire in her chest finally softened. Not gone, but at peace. The legend lives on. Years passed. Children grew up hearing stories of a girl who ran through fire, of a woman who returned as justice, of a Valkyrie born from ashes. Lisa never chased legend, but legend followed her. She fulfilled her duty. She protected the weak. She punished the cruel. She kept her vow. And when people asked who she was, she answered simply, "I am Lisa. And I remember."